and then Sean will tell us if I need to turn it down or not, and then we'll jump into the lesson. And we got a special guest video that was put together today by
And I'll
someone
give a
that's
couple Zoom tips as well before that. So
exactly okay. So just remind me if I go jump ahead. I think what I'll do is I'll start over here today. I just gotta find something fun to play. Actually, if I'm gonna do it like this, I'm gonna have to stand up. Okay, so we'll do it standing up here. And how about I do something like, we'll just do this. Here we go. Fun. Was the volume okay on that there?
that sounded lovely.
Okay, that's the loudest it's going to be. So if it's too loud on your end, you can go ahead and turn it down. You don't have to worry about it being louder than that. And then I'll just come over here and play a quick little number for you here. And let's see. Let's have a little fun with. Ooh, that looks like fun. No, I'll do something like this. Let's see. Oh, I could do that one too. Oh, so many choices, so many choices. Let me just do a nice.
They're so excited. I can see people's heads bobbing before you even start playing.
Well, you know, there's so many choices, and I'm put on the spot. Okay, here we go. Turn this on. Well, hope that sounded okay. Is that all right there,
Sounded
Sean?
good.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is before we get started and showing you the video and then talking about all the wonderful features and things that we're going to talk about today, we do have some new participants that we've added this week. So for the sake of them, and we got a couple new little tips that Sean wanted to share with you, and it'll be a good recap for some of you as well. So go ahead and take it over, Sean.
Okay, I'm just going to talk about, I'd say, maybe 3 different things today, just to kind of recap what we've, if you've been in the class before. I'll talk about some things that may be familiar already. If you're new, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of new stuff. So here are a few things, just on the Zoom here. So on the bottom left of your screens, I get a lot of questions on this. How come I can't see my face? I'm not showing up on screen. There's a button on the bottom left that says stop or start video. So if maybe you're in your jammies, you don't want people to see you, maybe hit that stop video button and you'll see this. Or if you're presentable, you feel like you want to be seen, you can hit start video. And that's on the bottom left of your screens here. So that's just one thing. The next thing is just like a class you would take in person. You want to, be quiet for most of it, let the teacher teach. But if you have a question, you can still raise your hand on this platform here. So on the bottom, again, toward the middle here, somewhere down here, there should be a button that says manage, or not manage, it just says participants. Okay, so look for participants. And what it'll do, it's when you click on that, it'll bring up a list of everybody on here. And on the bottom right of that, it says raise hand. So when we ask you, hey, does anybody have a question on this, you can raise your hand. It also gives you the option, if somebody already answered it or if you don't need anything, to lower your hand. So you can hit that afterward. If you raised your hand, you can hit lower hand anytime. But that's when we ask you a question, or maybe throughout the middle, if we went over something really quickly and you missed it, just raise your hand. But obviously keep in mind, we have a lot of people in here, so if you're raising your hand to say, the same thing somebody else said, just lower it, Otherwise, that's it for raising hands. That's the second feature. Now, this one is new that I haven't talked about before. So last week we talked about those two. This one's new. On the top right of your screens here, it's going to give you a couple different options for what you want to see. Because I hear from some people where they see just a bunch of little squares of all the people in the chat. And then some people that say, oh, your face is too big, make it smaller. You have two different views. There's one called speaker view. Now, speaker view is what you want most of the time. So you want my face or Robert's face taking up the whole screen, because then you can see kind of closely what he's doing on the instruments. There's another view called gallery view. So on the top right, if you touch gallery view, it'll take you to a screen where you can see kind of a whole bunch of people on here. But that's if you're maybe looking for a friend that said they were going to come on here somewhere. You can look around for them and just to see. Or you can look for Joe Thompson's face and make fun of it. That's fine too. But what you want to do is just look for the top right and change it to speaker view. That's what you want. So I'm going to throw it back to Robert, and we are going to get started with our class today. But hopefully that'll give you some ideas of what you can do with this program here. We have a couple hands raised. I don't know if that's a question or if you're just experimenting, but Nancy, did you have a question?
I do, Sean. I'm on the iPad. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on an iPad, so when you say in the lower corner, on the iPad, mine's all in the right-hand upper corner.
Okay, that's good to know if you have an iPad. I think on the iPads you can change where things are a little bit more, and it depends which way you have it turned sometimes, so it's kind of hard to keep that, the same for everybody. But yeah, look for just the pictures. If you want to start your video, look for the picture of a camera. If you want the different views, those should be, like you said, in the other corner, I think. So yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so Clement, you're going like this?
A couple other questions real quick. Judith, go ahead.
I didn't raise my hand.
Okay, I'm putting you back down.
Clement went like this. He did it the actual hand way. Clement Hill, let me get you unmuted there. Go ahead, Clement.
Okay, I don't have anything in the right-hand corner. I'm on iPad also. I don't have anything for the gallery of it. It doesn't show up at all as choice or not.
Sometimes if you tap the screen, some options show up.
Okay, tapping screen. Got the same thing. It's no big. I just still can't see everybody. When I hit the right-hand corner, I get chat one, meeting settings, minimize meeting, visual, virtual background, and raise hand, and disconnect audio.
Well, we may send out a couple links or something with the next email to give you some kind of troubleshooting type of stuff, because I'm not sure on the iPads at this point.
Okay.
Jason is really good on the iPad as well, by the way, because he has one. All right, so what we have...
Yeah, if you touch the screen, it pops up on the left-hand side of your screen, Clement. There's a little circle that says switch to active speaker.
someone sent a chat that said scroll to the side. All right, now Justin Randall, are you here today? Where are you, Justin?
There he is.
Where is he?
I'm
Say
here.
hi, Justin.
Hello.
Okay, so say hi to Justin. Justin, say hi.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
All right, there you are. Justin has actually been with us, what'd you say, 9 months or so?
A little over half a year.
Just a little half a year. And about a week ago or so, he very quickly put together an instructional video, sort of a trivia, I think, is more than anything. Or it's got some, what do we call? Oh, trivial tidbits is what he's called it. And I thought it was just very clever. He's been with us for, like I said, about half a year or so, and in a very short time has just shown that he's very good at a lot of things in a very short order. So I thought it was very clever that we use this video today, and then we kind of expand on it as we go. And the goal here today, just so you know, is we want to touch on topics that will cater to every style of instrument through the line. So what I'm going to do is pull up the video here, do the share screen, and before I go on, I need you to tell me if you see it says Trivial Tidbits on the screen. Yes?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to leave it in that view right there. And then
This will introduce our song of the week this week.
And then I'm going to hit play. And as soon as I hit play, if you don't hear it, tell me.
It's time for Trivial Tidbits. Hello, and I'm your host, Justin. Wait a second. That's better. Today we're going to learn about the famous instrumental 1962 release we all know, the Alley Cat. Let's take a listen. So Alley Cat was originally released under the Danish title Omkring et Flygel, which translates to Around a Piano. We're not really sure where the whole cat thing came from, but nevertheless, Alley Cat spread rapidly, becoming an extremely popular song at weddings and other parties. It was traditional to slowly speed up as the song progressed. It even inspired a dance. Check it out.
Point step, point step, point. Move to the right, face to the right, and left. In place, heels, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, little turn, back walk, drop and pair, forward and back.
Wow, that's cool. I wonder what kind of dances are popular now. I don't even know what that is. Anyway, Alley Cat was written by this guy, Frank Bjorn. Well, actually, that was just his pseudonym. His real name was Bent Fabric, which is actually just a shortened version of his full name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but I'll show it to you on the screen. The song went on to appear in numerous films and TV shows like the sitcom Mad About You. It's even frequently used by ice cream trucks. However, one of the best things you can do with the Alley Cat song is play it yourself. It's a fun little toe tapper, and here at Fletcher Music, we're going to help you along the way to playing Bent Fabric's Alley Cat. That's all for today. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Trivial Tidbits. I'm Justin saying so long until next time.
Well, there you go. I thought that was very cleverly done. And so Alley Cat is I'm glad he actually did that, because Alley Cat, like many songs that I've played over the years, has been one of those songs that back in the day, I want to say, this song Alley Cat, everybody, when I first started in '93, I was told, you got to learn this song, you got to learn this song, you got to learn that song. And Alley Cat was one of those songs that they said, you got to learn this song. And what I very quickly discovered was that it was a fun song to play, but after about 10 years playing it the same way, it just got to a point where I got tired of doing it. Well, over the years, what's happened is as different instruments were introduced, there's all sorts of different styles and different that the song setups. We're going to talk about song setup. So the first step is go onto the instruments and find the song Alley Cat in your song setup. And you'll find, depending on your instrument, you're going to hear it a few different ways today. One of the ways is called the there's going to be a ragtime style. There's going to be a swing and sway. We'll talk a little bit about the styles in just a minute. But it's very commonly done. Many different styles. He also mentioned about the tempo, where it used to be that Alley Cat started off when it was originally performed. You've heard that it's like about a 120. When we're finished, by the time we're finished here, you're going to hear how I like to do it now, and it was just another way that I'd love to do it. So the best way to start off with, like any song, is to find the song in the song setup. Now, you're going to notice that there are many different ways that you're going to hear Alley Cat. So, for example, when I put on Alley Cat on this instrument, it's actually a little different than when I put it on in an Imperial and a Prestige. And when I put it on in this instrument, and I just simply go to Song Setup and hit Alley Cat and hit Select, and it gives me a style, and a very common style, and I'll point it like this. This is really nice because it puts it at a tempo that's very easy to use and easy to play. Which is really, really, really neat, because for most people starting off with a hobby, the last thing they want to do is learn to play a song at a tempo of 180. I'm going to play it today. I can't remember what tempo. I think I did it at 220, just to kind of make it a little more exciting. But what you're going to notice is on all of the instruments, there's different tempos that are done with it, and different setups that are done with it. So in this case, it set up a style. Let me put song setup, Alley Cat song. It actually set up a style called the 2-beat piano. Now, 2-beat piano is on a lot of various instruments. However, depending on the model you have, now if you have an Imperial or a Prestige, you might actually hear it a little bit differently. When I come to this instrument here, it actually sets up a style called the honky tonk. Now, some of you out there have easy series instruments. I don't have one plugged in right now, but I'm going to tell you, if you put on the Alley Cat song setup, what it's going to do is it'll automatically program the bottom keyboard with the sound effect of the cat. And like in this case here, we have the cat. Now, what's really great about that is you also have on some of the easy series, if you also have some sound effects where you can get a dog barking chasing the cat if you like. Now, the thing about sound effects is it's a misunderstood feature, because a lot of times sound effects are, people use them, they think, oh, it's just for something that's just going to make it kind of funny once in a while, so they don't get used a lot. But a lot of the instruments that have sound effects, I strongly encourage doing it. So for example, if you're playing a song that Like when I do a song like Phantom of the Opera, I always like to throw in some of the wind and kind of make it eerie sounding. Or maybe I want to play a song that's a little prettier, a ballad, something like Theme from Ice Castles and songs like that. I use sound effects so that, here's an example. And what's really cool is it just creates gives your song a little more character, a different little flavor. Now back to the song Alley Cat. Now we have the song Alley Cat. Now, do you have the music there, Sean, by chance?
Yep.
Why don't you pull that up for a second?
Let me
And he's
pull
going to
that right
screen
up here.
share that. There's a couple fun things about that.
There we go. You see it?
There it is. Now, if you look at the song Alley Cat, it's a very easy song to play. And it says Frank, how do you
Frank
pronounce his last
Bajorn.
name? Bajorn?
No, I think it's
Is the
Bjorn.
J
but
silent?
I like to pronounce the J. I think it's more fun that way.
Oh.
Bjorn.
And whatever his other name was, Justin said. Actually, he's got an even much longer name. But anyway, that's besides the point. So what'll happen is that, look at the song now. Here's a nice little, here's a little trivia for you. If you look in the beginning, where you have CBA, and he highlighted it, and then A flat, and then he highlighted the other. And for those of
What's
you,
the difference between those notes?
what is the difference between those? Let's get some hands raising.
I don't think I can check the hand raise while I'm
Yeah,
sharing.
not from the
Let's see.
screen share. You'll have to unscreen share. Actually, I'll tell you. Marcia raised her hand.
Okay, Marcia, go ahead.
I think that they're the same. The G sharp and A flat and G sharp, right?
They are the same. But the question is, why? Why did one part of the song use the A flat, was it?
Mm-hmm.
And why did the second part of the song use G sharp? She's saying something, I think. Go ahead, Marcia. Do you know why?
Did they change keys? I don't see the music. I don't have the music in front
Oh,
of me.
let's put it back up. Go ahead, John. Put it back up.
Okay, while I do that, I'm going to let Jan say something too.
Go ahead, Jan.
Well, I was thinking it's because one way it's going down the scale and the other way it's going up the scale.
I think that's the reason, yeah.
Now, if you asked us, the answer is we don't know 100% unless we talk to Hal Leonard. But our logic says that that's why they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And probably because in easy play music, it's supposed to be easy. And for someone learning to make music in the early stages of their hobby, I think it would make it harder for someone if they change the A flat to a G sharp next to the A. It probably is easier for a student to go down from as they're playing the A, and they would know the next note down is A flat, and vice versa. You have G, G sharp, and going up. So, for example, if you pull back to the screen here, I'm going to show it on the instrument here. Okay, this view is a little better. So, if I was playing this, and turn down the notes a little bit. So we have, do I have it plugged in? Oh, I think I unplugged it. Give me.
What's nice about this song is it's really easy to play too for anybody. It just has a couple sharps and flats, so that's the only tricky part.
I gotta order a new chord. Left out. There we go. All right, so if you notice the song, let me put it on this angle here. So here, the notes go, so they use A flat in that song. It's probably easier for a student to go down, and then and if they're on G, they know they're going up to the G sharp, and that's our only theory. But let's talk a little about the style choices on this, because style choices are very exciting when you're using a song that always lead to other styles. Now, you heard on here when I used Alley Cat, you heard the honky tonk. On one of the instruments I played on yesterday, it actually gave me a style called Lenny's Delight. And some of you may know a person by the name of Lenny D. It seems to be a little bit more. He seems to be a little more known in the Florida area. I think he performed in bars and clubs out there, and he had a very unique organ sound that when he played. And there's a style that actually in some of the models, when you put up the song setup, Lenny's Delight will actually show up. So if you're playing the song Alley Cat, honky tonk, on this model it brought it up. On the Imperial it brought up the Lenny's Delight. On here brought a 2-beat piano. If you use the Easy series, it's going to put on a 2-beat type style piano, and it'll also program a cat in the bottom for you. And then here is the Lenny's Delight. And Lenny D was known to have played a Hammond organ, had these unique organ tones. And so when you hear this, you'll hear his styling in the background. Now listen to that background again. So it's really clever how a lot of the song setups. Now let's talk a little bit about song setup and how you can use those settings, not just for like an Alley Cat, but how you can take it a little step further. So here's a song setup for Alley Cat. All right? And it gave me the top and the bottom keyboard. Any of the song setups, this will work. When you use the song setup, your rhythm preset or your style setup will go away temporarily. Okay? Because it's doing a different setup. So what happens is, whatever setup it gives you, you have a great setup. Now, if you want to use that exact same setup now for another style, you can do that. So here's what I mean. So this is the setup that it gave me. Now let's just say I like that setup. But maybe I want to try it with a different rhythm. I want to spice it up a little bit. So I'm going to leave that setup as it is right now, and then just switch over to something totally different. And I think I'll go to Lenny's Delight. And now I have the exact same setup that's there, but with a different style. Now, I'm on the setup of the song setup. I switched rhythms, and now what I can do is switch to my rhythm preset. And now I have another totally different setup to use with it. So here's another example. I'm going to take now, instead of doing Alley Cat, what I'm going to do is find another song setup that I might want to play. Let's see here. What's a good song on here? Oh, here's one. Song setup. I think, oops, scroll to. I'm feeling a little bit crazy. So there's a song setup here called Crazy. And what's great about this is it puts on a style here called Country Love, which is a brand new style on the Freedom 3. Now, some of you have country styles. You want to find a style that's nice and slow, but I want to play the song Crazy first. So here we go. Well, now, I love that setup. I love that song. I'm going to play another song with it, and you can do. Or maybe I love that setup, but I want to try a different style using that setup, so I'll just switch to a different country here and try this. Now, before I go on, I'm going to stop right there and give you a chance to raise hands. Any questions so far about what we're talking about before? Because as I progress here, I'm going to switch out of some of the things we're discussing. Now's a good time. Raise your hand. Do one of those. Questions, comments.
Okay, we got one. H. Frankie, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Frankie.
Frankie.
My question is, I have a carnival, so I don't have all those setups. So what would I substitute?
Okay, that's a very good question. Now, I'm not sure if you were in one of the classes before, but one of the classes that I taught, I spent the entire class just on song setup and songs. Some people have a feature called songs, okay? And some people have a feature called song setup, or both, should I say. Now, this view here is as close as I can get right now. But right here, there's a button called song setup, and there's one called songs. Most instruments have a song feature. In other words, it plays the song. So if I just hit songs here, it'll play whatever songs I have in here. I have 10 songs. So here's one called I Walk the Line.
1, 2.
Okay, now I'm going to stop it there. Actually, let me just play it again softly here.
1, 2.
Okay, so now that song is just playing, and I press stop, okay? So what you can do is find a song that's on the instrument, play it, and then if you press stop, that setup remains on the instrument. So now I can use that setup to play either that song or something else. And that song was, what was that song that was just playing? I Walk the Line?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so instead of playing I Walk the Line, I'm going to do this. Now, I have another idea while I was playing that. I go, I really like that country sound. I love that country guitar. I'm going to leave that setup there, and I'm going to switch it to another rhythm. I'm just going to pick something else. Let's see, how about that crazy country? So even if you don't have the song setup feature, that's a workaround. The song setups, for those of you who have it, are just is a good starting point. The problem is a lot of people have used song setup over the years. You know, this has 100 song setups. That's a lot of song titles. I think the symphony has 750. The Imperial has 600. I forget. The numbers are very large progressively through the line. And what happens is if you look at the song titles in there, like I'm looking through song setup right now on this model, just in the first 30 titles that I see, I already saw titles that I normally would not play. You know, songs I wouldn't play. However, they will work for other songs. And so we have to strongly encourage, go into those and do that. The other thing they do, back to the sound effects, is that it will program sound effects with those styles based on the rhythm style you chose. And so they'll pre-program sound effects if you have sound effects on the instrument. Any other questions?
Yeah, let's go on to Bonnie/Jerry here.
Okay, I have a question. Does that only work when you set up your initial song with song setup? Because otherwise, I thought when you press a rhythm, you get presets that go with that rhythm. And then when you change rhythm, you would get new presets. But you're telling me that's not true. Obviously, is that only true with song when you get your first song with song setup?
That's a good question.
I think I understand the question. Let me answer and see if it helps. So every model has, well, I'm going to say almost every model because there might be one out there that, but every Lowry and Esty model has a button that sets up the organ for you. On the Esty, it says auto setup, okay? On the Lowrys, it's called rhythm preset. And on the later versions of the Lowrys that came out, it was called style setup, all right? And all that does is when you select a rhythm and you press auto setup, rhythm presets, or style setup, depending on what model you have, it sets up really nice setting, an ideal setting for that rhythm, okay? That's different. If I have that button pressed, like right now, this button is selected, and I have a rhythm selected, okay? Now, if I go into my song setup and I find an entirely different song that I want to play, let me find something totally different now, and something that, okay. Okay, here's a good one. Chances are, okay? So I'm going to hit chances are. When I touch it, the rhythm preset or the setup button goes away now. And the reason is it deactivated it because we're accessing a new setup that the instrument has. And this holds true if you're playing a song, whether you're using a USB or you're using a built-in song. The Carnival, the person that asked about that, there's, I think, 15 songs or so built into it. It holds true for that as well. So when you use that song feature, it'll play the song. The trick is you just got to remember to stop it, and now that setup is there. You also have the song setup feature. It works the same way. It'll turn off those setups. So in this case, this is the setup for chances are from the song setup. I just got to remember how to play chances are. I don't remember how to play chances are, so without the music. But this is the setup that it gives me. Which is interesting because the rhythm preset is usually different. Now, if I don't know how to play that song, this is a great example. I don't know, I usually use the music when I play this. I'll take that setup and play a totally different song with it. Now here's what I just discovered as I was playing this. I actually love this setup, this sound. This is just a really nice. Well, instead of using Chances Are, let me just find another style that would work with that. Let's go here, and we've got Love Ballad, Cat Memories. Here we go. So if you notice, on any model that you're playing that has the song feature and or the song setup feature, I like the song setup feature because a lot of times the song setup will give you a different setup than what the song plays. Sometimes that happens as well. If you have one of those pre-recorded USBs from Lowry, they may have a song that Bill Curry played using a different rhythm, and then you use the song setup and it's a whole different setup. And then what happens is you go, wait a second, like what happened with me just now is I didn't know how to play Chances Are without the music, but I love that sound, and I went through and I found another style called Cat Memories. So everything I'm telling you right now really applies to virtually most models, okay? Because everybody has a song and a song setup and or a song setup feature. But here's going a little step further, and I said this earlier. I have a song setup that I use for Chances Are, right? I like that sound, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to try that with a different rhythm. And that's what I did. And I liked it. Now while I'm playing, then I can revert back to the style setup or the rhythm. So did you catch that? So now I just went to the rhythm presets. Okay? So again, let me come on over here. I just love playing this. So I'm going to find another song setup. We'll do something totally different now. I did Crazy, did the Alley Cat. Ooh, this is perfect. I'm going to give you a sneak peek at something we're going to do next week, but there's a lot more to this. But there's a song title in here called Do Re Mi, okay? And I'm going to hit select. Here we go. Okay, so here's Do Re Mi. We've actually featured this in one of the classes with the, you know, the Broadways, what have you. And what it gave me was simple 2-beat piano. You notice the tempo, you know, and of course you can always change the tempo. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little smash chord there, no chord. And while it's playing, I'm going to switch tempos here, or rhythm styles, midway and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the showtime now and use that exact same setup. Now, that's just the sound from the initial song setup. Now what I'm going to do is push auto setup. Now listen. surprised they put a Broadway style like that on this instrument. It's pretty amazing. So that was a long answer, but I wanted to say it enough times in different ways. So did that kind of answer your question, Bonnie?
I think she's muted now, but
Yeah.
I think it did. I see her smiling.
She's nodding. Okay, we'll accept that as a confirm.
We had one more question. It was a while ago, so hopefully it's still
Yeah, let's go
pertains,
back.
but
Yeah,
from
we-
one person named Owner. So I'm gonna unmute that person here, and maybe next week I'll teach how to change names in here, so we can put your name. Are you there, Owner? Evidently not. Okay, we'll move on.
Okay, so any other questions about what I've talked about so far before I go into the next topic?
Think we're good?
Okay, so I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to touch on a topic. The goal here was for most of the instruction, we wanted to make sure it's applicable to everybody. Now I'm going to go sidetrack just a little bit because, as I mentioned, if you start off with a song setup and you like that setup, that's great. Then you can initialize your automatic setup or your style setup or rhythm preset, depending on what you have. Now, keep in mind, folks, I'm going to say it now because I might forget later, is we have all across Florida and Arizona, we have all of our staff members that are behind the scenes now kind of back with Fletcher Music. So if you hear anything that we're talking about today, or any of these instructions that I've done in the last few weeks with Sean, if there's any questions whatsoever, jot it down and reach out to them, okay? Shoot them an email, and because some of them are still able to go in the stores. We can't go into our stores yet in Arizona, but we can, but we can't. Reach out to us, and if you have an issue, just send me an email. I'll forward the email. And we'll get with you and answer these questions, because yesterday I found out we had like 6 or 7 students that had questions that their staff members were able to help. So the goal here is to make sure that everything we teach applies to all, and then occasionally where there's going to be some things that apply to certain models. But last week I sort of hinted to a little special little tip here for those people who have presets on their instrument. And I think what I'm going to do today to finish off our program after I do this is I'm going to play a few numbers on our Freedom 3. I just love playing this instrument. But here, Sean, do you have that little chart on the presets?
With the presets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you get that ready? And while you're doing that, let me explain this. Okay? Now, hopefully I did that fast enough you didn't see my password. Okay. Now, I'm going to just very briefly go over this, and then we'll finish off with some last-minute announcements and Q&A, and then I'm going to finish off with a couple of numbers on our Freedom 3, because I always play the big one. I think I'll finish off with some music on that one today and have some fun with that. But I'm going to put it up on the screen here, and you'll be able to see it. Let me turn off a light.
You should get that ceiling fixed up there.
You like that ceiling? Okay. All right. Now there's still a little glare. All right, so a lot of you have instruments with presets, okay? Or setups. The Easy 10, it's a little too far, has 5. The Holiday Classic has, I think, 10 or 8. The Odyssey has 8, Premier, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, okay? Some of the models, when you put on a rhythm and you have a rhythm preset or style setup, what have you, it tells you the sound in that current moment, what sound is there on the top and the bottom. So this looks like a, the preset for that. Okay, you can all see that. Is that still showing on the screen? I just want to make sure.
It's frozen for me. I think it might be for most people here.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Okay, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you can check a few people, maybe you can throw some thumbs up, what have you. All right, so here I just got whatever rhythm I have selected, and it tells me the sound that's in the top and the bottom keyboard, okay? Now, typically I go a little step further and I put on a feature where it tells me all of the sounds. Well, that's kind of nice. It's a little glare there, but number 1 says mellow and high trombone on the bottom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Well, just to give you a little history, Lowry, years ago, when they first introduced this feature, it wasn't as detailed as that. And there was a disadvantage to it, but years later, there's a small advantage to it. And what's really nice about that feature, and a lot of people don't know this, but if you ever see us playing and we're kind of doing this sometimes people think we're just really getting into the music. A lot of times it's because we're looking at the screen going, what sound am I going to use? I forgot to wear my glasses. I want to try that sound. But a lot of us, when we're playing, we're doing other things in the screen, and I can't always have time to pull up that screen. So I have, because I've been doing this long enough, and Joni, I think you'll remember you remember the days when the Royale was introduced, and some of you who were around when those days, this feature came out. It was pretty cool. The problem was at the time it wasn't very detailed, but still today can be handy. So here's how it works. These presets, and this basically applies 98.76% of the time. I got to give myself a little room for that occasional it's not applicable. When you're using style setup on your instrument, regardless of how many you have, there is a methodical way these setups were put together. So go ahead and pull up that screen, Sean.
Is it up there?
All right. I see it. I hope you see it as well. So when you're using rhythm preset 0, and what I'll do is let's put on a totally different rhythm just for fun here. I'm going to put on smooth foxtrot. Okay, it's the first one that I see. Now when I push my screen up, it tells me trombones, pianos. It doesn't say what that says. This was the original layout, general process. But this still is applicable to today. So if you put on a rhythm and rhythm preset, and you push any one of these 10 presets, these are the types of sounds that you will get. Here's what I do sometimes. I kind of know this in my head, but I'll encourage some students, if they have a copy of this, and we will send this out this week, what you can do is kind of put this somewhere on the instrument. And if you're playing along and you just want I want a different sound, this will help you. So, for example, here's Smooth Foxtrot. Just leave that screen there. I'm going to play a little bit. All right, so that's the initial setup. Now, when I put on number 1, listen to it. Now, on the screen, it says easy. What that means is it will give you like it says there, an uncomplicated registration combining with a simple background. So a lot of times it gives you a nice, not such a strong, busy sound, but it also changes the background. Here's 0, and here's 1. And Listen how the background changes. Now, number 2, a little more, is, I like how they worded it, just like it says. It's a little bit more, and sometimes the background is just a little bit more than preset number 1. And so if you notice, that's what that does. Now, number 3 will always give me an organ sound. Number 4 will always give me love or some strings or strum. Eight will always give me some type of piano sound. Sometimes it's piano with strings. Now, here's what's really clever about this, is that this will apply all the time whether you're using a rhythm preset or an organ rhythm preset or your style setups, and 98.7% of the time. So you can go ahead and take that screen off. Number 10 said finale. This means it's always going to be a big sound. So if you have any type of presets on your instrument, those sounds, those are the types of sounds. Now, this weekend when we send out a copy of this video and the song material and what have you, we'll include that in there if you want to have that. So before we go on, I'm going to finish up with a couple numbers here for you today. Do we have any questions?
I suppose not.
This is a good time to raise your hand.
We have one from Carolyn. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a question, but it has more to do with the USB. When using a USB, is it correct to always close out your bank setup before reloading another preset into another category?
No. You can do that. You don't have to.
Okay.
I don't reset it. I just keep putting in next presets when I'm ready. Now, I do occasionally reset the organ just for the heck of it. I think it's a kind of a good thing to do once in a while. I do that with my phone sometimes once in a while. I do it with my computer once in a while. I don't do it all the time, but every now and then I do, and it's just a good way to kind of get it back to its normal default state, if you will. Okay, any other questions about anything we've taught today? Now's a good time. Eugene Cooper has a hand raised, I think.
Sorry. Got one more question from Eugene.
It's Jerry Cooper, raising my hand.
Hello. We hear you.
You can. I just want to say hi to Jan. She's an old Canasta swimming pool, Charlotte exerciser person. Hi, Jan.
Okay, everybody say hi, Jan.
Hi, Jan.
There we go.
No, she's not reacting. Okay, thank you.
She heard you, I'm sure. All right. So if there's any other questions, a couple quick announcements, and then before we close off today's little lesson, I'm going to play a few numbers for you. Every week I like to finish off with some music for you. And then maybe I'll do my upbeat tempo of Alley Cat. There's something really cool on here that I love to do with that. But before I do, Winnie, did you have a question? Go ahead, Winnie. Let me see.
Yes, I missed 6, 7, and 9 on that chart. I know you're sending it to it, but
6, 7, and 9. 6 is solo, 7 is vocal, and 9 is ensemble.
ensemble. And then hi to Justin. He was my PA now and very helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Justin. Oh, you're saying hi to Justin. Yeah, now keep in mind, when it says vocal, rhythm preset 7, it's not the same vocal. Sometimes it's a scat, sometimes a vocal ensemble. When it said piano on that screen, it's not always a piano. Sometimes it's a piano, grand piano, honky-tonk. Sometimes it's a percussion sound. It could be an xylophone. That's a percussion. Solo is a wide variety. It says organ, the organ one. It's not always organ. Number 5 said bells and whistles. It's not always bells and whistles. Sometimes it's an organ with bells, but it may have vibes with an organ. But it's telling you it's going to give you something that has that type of sound in there. And then there's another. Carolyn, is your hand raised up again?
Yes.
Now you're only allowed 2 questions.
Okay, thank you. You're doing a great job, by the way.
We're trying.
No, you are. Would Sean, when would he go over, not necessarily now, but the bottom of the Zoom? Because right now it looks like on my screen I'm recording. I don't know too much about Zoom. So when he has the chance, maybe at a later time, go over the bottom again, how you get a picture. I see Nancy's picture and Sean and your own, but I don't know about anybody else. So
okay, well,
we'll try to do that at some point. We can also send out links to teach you as well.
Yeah, there's links. We'll send out some links that he'll give me, and I can patch them in. And then there's also going to be something that I'm going to have in advance, so you can kind of test it out in advance as well. A couple quick announcements, and I'll play some music for you. First of all, thank you all for joining today. As I mentioned earlier, we have Joni's on here, Sean, Justin, Jason was in there somewhere, and it depends on what view I'm in. We have all of our staff members that are helping out now. So anything that you teach, reach out to your local staff members because they can help clarify some of these things. But the other thing I want to just continually say is, if you have a student in your area that is coming to the classes regularly, because we don't know how long it's going to be before we can get back to even somewhat normal. And we're going to continue doing this, and hopefully it has, between what we do in the store and this, you'll just have enough information. It's just going to keep your hobby on at its best for you. But if you know somebody, if they're not, just tell them to join, because we're gonna improve on these. By the way, for those of you who have the Elite Series models, I've had some inquiries saying, can we do a workshop on just the big models? On June 1st, I'll send out some notifications. June 1st at 12 p.m. Florida, at 9 a.m. Arizona, I'm going to do a special workshop for all of those people. And then I actually had a couple staff members said, Jason Bontrager wanted to do it, and a couple other staff. They want to do a workshop just on the smaller models where we focus just on those models. So stay tuned in, because we're going to be sending some emails out for that and some links and what have you, and you'll be able to join that. I'm working on coming up with a schedule. These classes that we're going to do, we're going to still kind of do in this fashion. We think it's a great thing to have a consistency going on, and then occasionally throw in some special workshops and stuff. So stay tuned in on that. And last but not least, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Arizona, 2 p.m. Florida, we're going to do another Facebook Live event. So stay tuned in. I'm going to have some fun with that tomorrow. And I think what I'll do now is I'm going to finish up this I'll play a couple fun numbers on here. This week I've actually had, I've had a lot of little individual demonstrations on this model, and I really haven't had a chance to play it a lot, except for the last 30 days, because I have one in my home. And in this week in particular, it's forced me to really look at all the other goodies in here, and I figured I'm going to have some fun with it while I can here. So I'm going to play, we have Alley Cat that we played, but sometimes I like to play Alley Cat a little differently. And this one here is going to be a little medley. This is kind of the old 50s rock and roll. I'll start off with a little bit of the song that it's great for. Rock Around the Clock. Who was the band that made that song famous? Who was known for that?
That was Bill Haley and his Comets.
Yes, and his Comets, not the Comets. He has his very own Comets. So here we go. We'll do that. I'll start off with Rock Around the Clock, and then I'll have the urge to play Alley Cat, because it's going to be just a fun, different way of playing it. Here we go.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, my timing's off. That guy needs to help me.
1, 2, 3.
Now, if you listen to this, I'm going to hold the fill-in down. It'll actually do the part of that song where they do the sax solo. Here we go. That's just a fun style, and it's so amazing to hear that the way those saxophones were playing in there, and that nice little bass line. And then, of course, I found another style in here that I have just fallen in love with here, and it's under the Latin category. I played a little bit earlier when I opened up, but it's just a fun style to use for all your great Latin songs. So here we go. Oops, I hit the wrong button on the instrument while I was playing. Let me start that up again. I put the wrong tempo in there. Here we go. Well, thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed today's class. And now you have the chance, if you want to say anything on your way out, I'll have a couple of minutes here. And if you have any questions about anything we've done today, you can unmute yourselves if you like. And, oops, let me just see there, put that there. We had a few private chats. Thank you so much for joining. And Justin, let's give Justin a big round of applause there. You can do this, a virtual applause. Wow, there's a lot of people applauding for you, Justin. And so we want to thank you again for joining. We hope you enjoyed today's class, and we'll do it again next week. And then stay tuned in for all these other workshops we're planning on doing. We're working on a schedule now that you can all do it. So I'll just stay on for a minute. If anybody has any extra comments, this is kind of the point where John has after the meeting. Unless you have something. Yes.
Thank you so much. Excellent, excellent class. I look forward to trying those song setups and changing from one thing to another.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia Rule wants to say something.
No, no.
Okay. I'll lower your hand. Pam, Pam, did you want to say something? Ask something?
Yes, I did. Regarding the concert on Friday on Facebook, is that recorded? Because last week's I missed, and I think I tried to find it and I couldn't find it. So
it should remain on the Facebook page, and I know it's
should,
there.
okay.
It is there because I downloaded it and then I uploaded it to our YouTube channel.
Okay.
As well.
So I get it off of YouTube then.
You can go there as well. And I think in the last email that I sent out announcing this week's Facebook, you'll get another email today reminder. I put 3 links of the last 3 Facebooks. So it'll take you to you just click that, it'll pull you to the YouTube. So I'm trying to put it out everywhere for a short time until we find out which platform is going to work the best for certain things.
Okay.
So, very good.
Great.
And
thank you, Robert.
You're welcome. We got Carolyn. Did you have?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'd like to know, can you at one time or another cover Broadway magic in the music style? I tried that last night, but it doesn't work too well with some of the songs.
It's a very fast style. I would use songs like Cabaret actually works perfect with that.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Nancy's iPad. Did you have something you wanted to say? I think your hand was up.
I did, Robert. Thank you so much. I enjoyed the class today. Are you going to send out a schedule of the new programs when they come out?
Yeah, the workshops that I mentioned. Yeah, I'll post those in advance, so you'll know when that's happening.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, you'll get the information. I'll just keep reminding people and so forth. Helen Beam, it says.
Yes, I just want to thank you for these classes. They've really been a big help.
Well, I thank you for joining us. It's a lot more fun when we have people to teach.
You are currently on attacked element.
So,
thank you.
And if you have any questions, reach out to your staff members. All right, so we got 2 more hands raised, I think. No, did I catch them all? All right, well, that said, folks, I've got another little Zoom. Bye, Clement. We'll see you real soon. Bye, everybody.
You getting my email?
Thank you, Robert.
Bye.
Are you getting my emails?
Bye-bye. I got one from you about a week ago, I think.
Yeah,
I haven't
think
got
we had
one
to do
recently
that.
from you. If you send me one recently?
Yes. I'll send it back to you again.
Send it to me again today. Because I saw one, it seemed like it was a while back. It was something you were saying you were checking and stuff is what I got. But go ahead and send it to me again. Okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks, buddy. It's Sarge, isn't it?
Good
I didn't
job,
know I've been
Robert.
calling you Clement this whole time. You go by Sarge, right?
Yes.
Okay, Sarge.
Carry on.
All right. Okay, guys, I got to go. I got another meeting coming up. I got to catch my breath here. So we'll see you again next week. Thanks for joining. We really appreciate you.
Thank
We love you
you.
all. Thank you.
Thank you.